T. Clark here, and this video is going to go over the AP Computer Science A 2023. Oh, it says 24. Why do I have 24 here? Oh, if I change that, I'll mess it up in the up. FRQ number 4A. So 2023. Ignore this for now. Well, forever. So 4 involves pieces of candy in a box, and candies are basically an object that has an accessor method called getFlavor, which returns a string that represents the flavor of the candy. Okay, so there's a lot of other stuff that could be happening in the candy class, but all we care about is this .getFlavor method. So box of candy, though, the box of candy we want to use it represents a candy box where the candies are arranged in a rectangular grid. So we have the grid of candies in 2D array, a box. That's what it's called, box. So the location may contain a piece of candy or may be empty. It may be null, it may be empty. So a piece of candy is represented by a candy object, otherwise null, like I just said. Okay, so part A, I'm just going to talk about that. I'm going to ignore part B. So can move candy to first row. That's a lot to write. Okay, so can you move candy to first row? We will move one piece of candy in the column that's provided, call, if necessary and if possible. So the box element in row 0 of column call contains a piece of candy. So you want to move any candy we have up if you can. If there's already candy there, we don't do anything. And let's see, what do we return? False if there's no piece of candy at all in that column, and true otherwise. Okay, so let's see. So right now I just have it false because that lets me run the code. So it's false, false, false. So I guess this one crashes. Shouldn't be looking at that actually anyway. Oh, it just returns null. Okay, so that's why it's crashing. Shouldn't return null. So we're on the first one, so we don't have to worry about the second one. So we don't worry about this B. We just worry about this top part right here. So false, false, false. Obviously wrong because it's just false for now. Okay, so part A. We're going to write the method which moves it up. But first it says if the element at row 0 in column call already contains a piece of candy, if there's something there, then the box is unchanged and the method returns true. So first thing I want to do is check to see if there's candy there. So if the candy is there, that means if, what's it called again? Array is box, the 2D array is box. So box, remember bracket, row, column. Row is always going to be, or we're looking at the top row. So in this case, it's row 0. And call is going to be that parameter right there. And if the candy is there, that means there's not null, right? Not null means there's candy there. So if there's candy there, we're done. We're just return true and nothing happens. Because we don't want to put candy on top of other candy, right? One candy per spot in the box. So that takes care of that bullet point right there. So if the element at row 0 column call does not contain a piece of candy, so everything else, so I don't need to put an else, I just do everything after because I don't need an else because it returns, and returns stops whatever is happening. So everything else is down here. What do I have to do? I have to search the remaining rows of that column for a piece of candy. Okay, the remaining rows is everything after row 1, everything down here. So if I'm looking at this one, there's row 1, 2, 3. If looking at this one, I wouldn't because there's a candy there and just return true and stop. If I'm here, I'd be looking at this one and then go to 1 and then 2, I'd find it and then I'd want to move them. Okay, so if a piece of candy can be found in column call, it is moved to row 0, like I said. Its previous location is set to null, so there's nothing there. So I just move the cherry up, I guess. Otherwise, if there's nothing found, it's false. So like in row or column 0 would be false. So here's the example. I'm getting ahead of myself looking at that box already. So here's an example of box, and I kind of try to mimic it in my main method. You don't have to worry about the main method. You don't even have to worry about candy. Just have to know that candy has getFlavor, and then everything else is in box candy. You don't need to do any fancy stuff like I did, making the main or anything. You just worry about this method right here. So I talked about how it's set up. Empty is null, so these are all null, null, null. So those are the dashes in mine. Those are the empties in my example over there. A non-empty square has a candy, and a candy has a flavor. So we don't know what other we have. We could have pictures. We could have other stuff that represents this candy, the shape. We could have the size, maybe, or the weight, the gram. But in our scenario, we only care about the flavor. So that's what I have here: lime, orange, cherry, lemon, grape. But so let's get to the candy. Move candy to first row. So move candy to first row returns false. because there's no candy there. And then obviously nothing changes. Then if I say move if I call the move candy to first row 1, it returns true because there's candy there. And then if I call move candy to first row 2, so this last row right here, oh, I did it one way. Okay, so I did it this way. We'll move one of the pieces, just one. It just moves one of them to row 0, to the first row, and then it sets it to blank. Okay, you could have picked the last one and move that one too. So it's either one. They let you loop forwards or backwards. I'm gonna loop forwards. I always like looping in order for int. And I'm looping over the rows because they give me the columns. So I need to set up my rows, and I set my rows to be start at row 1. So I want to start right here. Actually, on this one right here. So start here and go down. So I'm going down until the end. So R less than box. Is it box or boxes? What does it say? It's just, oh, it's one box that has spaces, I guess. So it's a box. Box.length. It's not box 0.length because I don't need columns. I'm doing rows, and then row plus plus. So there's my normal row. What the heck? Excuse me. Let's get a sip of water there. There's my normal row iteration. And I want to see if there's a box there. So, or if there's not a box, see if there's a candy there. So if that box spot, the box spot is R bracket call. And again, the call is from the parameter. And I'm looping over the other one, looping over R. If there's a candy there, again, candy means it's not null. Just like I said, there's candy in the first row, candy in that row. Then I say what? I say, I want to put it in the first column. So, or the first row, I'll put it at the top. I'll put it at the top. The top is 0. So box 0, what just happened? I pushed another button. Box 0 call gets whatever's at the box RC or R call. Gotta type without messing up. Okay, so I move the candy that was the current candy that I'm going down searching for, starting at row 1. Move it to row 0. Then I have to put it empty. I have to empty out that spot in the box. So box R call is null now. There's no candy there. And then what do I do? I found it. Oh, it returns true. I have to return true as well. And return true is good because it stops the return true. It stops the whole thing. I don't do any more code. And then if I don't find it after the for loop, I return false. And actually that should be it. So I should move the candy up. And there we go. False, true, true. Looks good, looks good. So that's 2023 4A. Have a good day.